Hello and welcome back to the Out of Spec podcast. The Tesla Model 3 is 8 years old, first in production delivery starting in 2017. It's now 2025, which means Tesla Model 3s have been on the road for quite some time, meaning that we have a ton of older, high mileage vehicles that you can get at a really good price. And to help me talk about it, I have Alan from TesCalendar. You just bought a Tesla Model 3 clean title for $3,989. $4,000 for a long range dual motor with 217,000 miles on it. Is that true?
Yeah, it's all true. The only caveat is I did get 30% off the price, so I paid $5,500 plus the key savvy fee of like $189. But taxable income that takes it down to just below $4,000 is what came out of my pocket, plus registration and title and stuff.
That is amazing. How does the vehicle run and drive?
It's actually pretty remarkable how it drives. I got behind it for the first time, and I was like, "This thing drives almost like it's brand new." It makes a few extra sounds and stuff that a brand new one wouldn't. But steering is incredibly tight. Ride is smooth. It's just as joyful to drive as day one. And we've been in a Model Y for quite some time, so getting behind a Model 3, the driving dynamics are quite different. It feels so much quicker and you can just turn like crazy in that car.
Amazing. Now, this vehicle had its high voltage, the large battery underneath the vehicle replaced at 127,000 miles, meaning that this vehicle likely has a lot more runtime left of it. With high voltage battery replacements, this current battery is still under warranty, right?
I'm not certain on that. I don't know what the replacement warranty was. I honestly didn't look into that. It was a little unfortunate that he had to replace that at 127,000 miles, about 7,000 miles out of warranty. Fortunate enough for his situation, wasn't a deal. It didn't ruin everything for him. He drives a ton for work, which is how you put 127,000 miles on a car in 2.5 years. So a lot of those reimbursement checks were able to go forward towards his repair cost on that. But as far as the warranty on the new pack, I don't know what they give for that. I guess that'd be something we could look up.
Yeah. And you also have, I'll share on screen, a list of all of the maintenance. I should mention, right, the Model 3 first came out in 2017, but this is a 2020 Model Y. So a little newer, and so this means you have what ECU version would you, or MCU version would this Model 3 have? Do you know?
I believe it's hardware 3.
It's amazing. And so what does this have full self-driving?
No, it does not. Nope,
That'd
just
be
the
an amazing
autopilot.
deal. Okay.
Yeah.
If it
Yeah.
did, this would have been a crazy amazing deal. This would have been like,
Yeah, it
whoa.
would be. Yeah. Yeah. But thankfully with the Tesla subscription at $100 a month, I could get it anytime I wanted.
Right. Exactly it. You see, replace PTC heater, 12-volt battery, fast charging contactor, charge port door, tires, front upper control arms, trunk lid, high voltage battery we talked about, computer, tires, upper control arm, ball joints, tire rotation, tire install alignment. So really some just, I want to say, basic wear and tear besides the high voltage battery. And this thing has lasted pretty long.
Y-
Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was slightly surprised with how much he had to bring it in. In my Tesla history, other than a couple mobile repairs, I've never really had to take it into a shop. So him bringing it in this much was a slight surprise to me. But when you get into the content of this of cost of repair per mile, even with the crazy cost of the high voltage replacement, it was still extremely reasonable, especially if you compare it to like a comparable internal combustion engine vehicle. And for example, the reason why he bought this in the first place, good friend of mine, um, was he had a Toyota RAV4 that he was driving for work, and you can imagine when you're putting 50,000 miles on it a
Right.
year, he was spending one Saturday a month at a oil to get an oil change. So it was quite inconvenient to be doing all the maintenance an internal combustion engine requires, as compared to, we'll say, 11 trips to a service center in 5 years. And I said, hey, man, this is what you would save in charging alone, and you wouldn't have to do all that maintenance. You should get this car. And it didn't take him long. And he's like, you know what? You're right. This would literally pay for itself. So he got it, drove the wheels off of it. We've been friends ever since, and he wanted to upgrade to a truck. So he was kind of debating between a Lightning and a Cybertruck. He ended up going with the Lightning, mostly due to price. It's still $20,000 cheaper at the end of the day. So then he was going to be getting rid of this, and what I paid for it was right around what they were offering for trade-in. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, you got the friends and family discount." I'm like, a little bit, but also, this is what the fair value that Tesla was going to give him,
Mhm.
Ford was going to give him, and he looked, at Carvana and some other places. So instead of selling it to a random dealer or stranger, he was able to sell it to me for that price.
Amazing. And you see here, you have this. Of course, I'll have your tweet in the description for those who are interested in reading and learning more. But with the maintenance and cost of repair, it's about 10 cents per mile calculated.
Right,
See, awesome. But yeah, $23,000 worth of repairs, other than like the high voltage battery. But for the most part, upper control arms, trunk lid
right.
harness, these are things that can often be common for any vehicle on the road.
Yeah, and hopefully as time goes on, the HV replacement comes way down. $15,000 for replacement. That's a little sour. And a lot of people have commented on my post. This has got 217,000 miles. You better be prepared to do that again. To that, I say there's a lot more options today. It's a
Right,
$4,000 car. I'm probably not going to turn around and spend $15,000 on a battery.
right.
But hopefully Tesla themselves can bring that down for the customer so that, say, it's comparable or even cheaper than an engine replacement, so that when that time comes, not as bad.
Right. If you ever do find out what the high voltage replacement warranty is like, definitely let me know. I'm curious of finding out what those options are. But replacing things like the drive unit and the high voltage battery, as you said, there are other repair options as well, other than going through Tesla to have that done. But yeah, hopefully, as and this was 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, around then.
So I imagine it could. Imagine what the price would be today. I wonder what the exact high voltage Model 3 price looks like today. So online, it looks like the battery replacement is about 10,000 to 13,000 for the actual battery, and
Okay.
then for labor is a little more. So
Okay.
around that $15,000 mark.
Yeah.
Um, but as you mentioned, also on Twitter, and something I've noticed myself is you can get a aftermarket battery for $3,000 to $6,000 depending on the condition
Yeah.
and age. And of course, you'd have to find a third party shop to install that. But there definitely are some options if you wanted to replace the high voltage system.
Right. Well, in that, and I'm intrigued too because you can buy modules. So could you find somebody? And I've heard people. I think was somebody even on. I know Alex. He does a lot of repairs. I don't know if he does a lot of those Toyota Rav4 EVs and other stuff. I don't know if he's broken into a pack. There's some other guys out there that have started to break into those packs, and they are replaceable. Um, Again, if this $4,000 car were to stop working and something like that was to go wrong, I might try to take a stab at something like that because you
Yeah.
can get a module for, I don't know, $1,000 or $2,000. And yeah, you're gonna have some time into troubleshooting, but if you could just replace it for that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. To my knowledge, I think even on a module basis, so how the Tesla battery management system works is I guess it tracks each module or cell
Okay.
as it degrades through time. And so replacing just one module or a specific cell, I guess, kind of tricks the BMS, and it creates a quicker degradation process for that new module. But
Oh,
I've
okay.
seen it actually work, and it will last quite some time, but it probably won't last like the full length of
Okay.
the life of that battery. But still, that's another their option out there. I mean, you can do whatever you want with this thing.
I wonder
It's
if there's a way, like, the electrified garage guys are all ex Tesla employees. I wonder if they have a way of breaking into that BMS and reteaching it.
yeah,
I mean, there's a lot to learn about these. It's all new tech. I'm really intrigued to see where it goes in the future because $15,000 battery replacements on cars that are going to be under 10 grand don't make sense.
right.
But that's not the only solution. Today, it's the only for most people, but there's going to be more and more opportunities in the future that I look forward to seeing what happens and if I have to be even playing a part in. But I don't want to go down that road yet.
Yeah, so you see here, based on his real charging data, it looks like he spent $11,700 in home and DC fast
Yes.
charging over that 217 thousand miles. Fuel would have cost him over 26,000, well, about $26,400 in that same time frame. So he saved $14,700 over the last 5 years in gas. And
Yeah,
so some
those
of that,
are Yeah, those are a little bit estimates because I don't have all the data of thousands of charges and whatnot. But I do have his home charging rate, so I could calculate roughly what that would be based on the percentages he gave me. On the first pack, it was charged at superchargers 69% of the time, and on the second pack, 34% of the time. So I was able to break down that data. Okay, the other percentage was all home charging, and then I could take the average supercharging rate in this area because he drives primarily in the Midwest over those years to get his overall charging cost. And then I took 5 year data of the mileage he put on of average gas cost to get that information. What I didn't do was break down a comparable internal combustion engine maintenance cost. That would have been really compelling because that would have been a remarkable amount of savings. Just like we said, in oil changes alone, you know, oil changes are $100 now. I've kind of put some stuff out there about that, and it blows my mind. But doing that every month, that's $1,200 a year alone. Not to mention the other things that could go wrong.
right. What do you plan on doing with this Model 3?
Yeah. So at first, I had a whole slew of things, but after talking to my wife, currently we are probably going to end up getting rid of our Model Y and just keeping that as a second vehicle. She
Nice.
doesn't drive a lot right now, and we're able to go down to just the one car loan on the F-150 Lightning that we have for the time being until we decide what EV we want to get next.
It's amazing. Yeah, so much cost saving. I'm jealous. This is like the
Yeah,
dream, right? for
yeah.
for something this cheap.
And I keep telling people like it's going to get more and more common. To have 220,000 miles on a vehicle in just 5 years is not common yet. But give it a few more years, and you're going to get more and more of these high mileage cars. Um, in different conditions. Some of these Hertz cars that are getting out there,
Right.
they're already beat up and getting sold. And some of the other vehicles, just anything with high mileage, is going to end up being cheaper. If you look out on the market, any vehicle over 200,000 miles is probably pretty cheap. So it's going to be no different for these, obviously.
Have you had a chance to supercharge it yet?
Yes, on the way
Okay.
home, I needed to give it just like a 5 minute bump to get home. It was only a V2, so I didn't get to see like what the speeds would be on it. That'll be coming, obviously, but it pulled full V2 speeds at 30%, for whatever that's worth. But I will give some props to the Key Savvy. I know I've seen a lot of people praise it before, but man, it made the buying process, even from a friend, really easy. They handle all the paperwork. You do what they say, follow the steps. They have it really streamlined. So it's well worth their fee. And then you get to save, the tax credit money. So that's pretty awesome. And then as far as transferring ownership on the app. There's a lot of things with Tesla. I love Tesla. I love everything they do, but there's a lot of things that they have that are not intuitive. And from somebody who had been driving it for 5 years and somebody who's been a huge Tesla fan for a decade now, we weren't even sure how to transfer it. We kind of had to look that up, and it took us a little longer than we would have thought. Not a big deal, but Tesla has quite a few things that aren't fully intuitive that we can sometimes not realize until we need to do it. I will say too, as far as the car holding up, it's not perfect. There's some dings and dents, not really dents, chips, and he was pretty hard on the interior because he does engineering sales. But even all that considered, you get into it, and nobody would guess it's a 220,000 mile car. You have to tell them, and like I said, the way it rides, again, nobody would guess. So it's really remarkable how they hold up to the test of time. Yeah, your classic curb rash. The
Yeah.
steering wheel is peeling.
Tesla
That's pretty
steering wheel
normal
peel.
for them. Yeah,
Right. Yeah, I'm absolutely amazed by this deal. I mean, I could definitely see. I mean, as right time goes on, and as Model Threes get older, and people are driving them more and more, and we have more higher mileage cars, we're going to see more of these deals. And yeah, I'm anticipating seeing more of these deals out there, and hopefully, more people can snag something like this. So, if any of you out there watching, listening, find a Model 3 deal like this, definitely share it with us. I mean, maybe consider buying it for yourself first because someone might, you share it, someone might grab it up from under you. But definitely share with us any of the crazy Model 3 deals that you have up there. If you have a crazy high mileage Model 3, definitely feel free to reach out to us as well. For a vehicle of this high mileage, you said that this was going to be your second vehicle, Alan. What do you think your, I guess, how long you're going to keep this for? You mentioned that you'll likely keep it until you find something new, but what do you think the end of life for this Model 3 will be from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. This car I think will last as long as the battery pack lasts. So that's the real question: is how long will it last? Um, I was big into the early days of Tesla saying that they were 500,000 mile batteries. Well, obviously this was replaced at 127,000 miles, so it wasn't. And the second pack has seen roughly 19 to 20% degradation, which you know what you have at that mileage, so you just use what you have. But how long will it last beyond that? When it took a hit the first time, he wasn't planning on replacing it due to degradation. It threw an error and basically put him in limp mode, and he was forced to replace it. That being said, this second pack, it's only been supercharged 34% of the time compared to 69% of the time. So I'd really hope that this would last well over 300,000 miles. Now, will that be in my hands? I'm not sure. Like I said, our primary vehicle is currently a brand new Ford F-150 Lightning Flash, which we love. It's got so much space, so that's what we'll drive, around for trips and stuff.
Heat
This is
pump.
down to about 250 displayed range. So pretty much your standard range new. So not bad, but definitely not as good as it was. So, as far as how long I'm going to keep it, I can't. I love cars so much. That's kind of my problem. I wish I didn't. I would have every EV on the market in my driveway if I could afford that. I love the Rivians and obviously the Lightnings and all the Teslas and everything else. There's some not great ones that I don't love so much, but I'd even have a obnoxious Hummer in my driveway if I could afford it. But um, so that being said, I don't know when I'll switch from this to something else, but we have this for the time being.
Awesome. Well, how can people find you? Where can people learn more about you in this Model 3?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter or X at TesCalendar1. Been running the TesCalendar for roughly 4 or 5 years now. Before that, some awesome guys on X as well, TesFan Mitch and Spotted Model ran it. They both had some life changes, so I was able to take over that TesCalendar and kind of uh, help it become what it is today. They did a great start, and it was just a fan based calendar before there was any other options available
Mhm.
for any EV calendar. Better yet, just Tesla. Um, so it's grown a lot over the years. We've got some awesome partnerships with it, and it's a lot of fun. But I use the TesCalendar page just as all EV information and knowledge, and then as well as promoting our own calendar. And then, starting in early fall, late summer, we do an annual photo contest to help determine who gets into the calendar. That's a lot of fun with some great giveaways as prizes and a lot of participation. There's some absolutely amazing photographers out there that can get just stunning shots of their Teslas. So it's been a lot of fun over the years to do that, and look forward to continuing it. And we take all of our proceeds and we donate those to charity. Lately, it's been One Tree Planted, where we've given as much money as we possibly can to help fight climate change. And I love nature, so just making more natural habitats. So investing in that with those proceeds, so that it's not just benefiting someone, but all of us.
Sweet. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, definitely. I don't have it. It's in another room, but I have my Rivian calendar
Oh yeah,
as
yep,
well. So I've been following along for quite some time, and it's amazing work that you do over there. As well as I was showing you beforehand
yes,
these guys that I have here.
yes.
Right. What do you call these? Are cable. What do you call this?
They are electric truck nuts. So yeah,
Right.
cable ties
Electric
or
bus.
whatever. But
Right.
it was a lot of fun. There was a meme going around, and I saw it. I was like, man, I can totally make those. So I I drew that up and made my own version of it, and worked with a friend to be able to produce those and get those out. And so a lot of people now get to drive around with their electric truck nuts as quite the comedy and spin on the truck nuts and being an electric vehicle. Just fun.
Yeah, a lot of cool stuff, man. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Alan. As I mentioned, his information will be in the description of this video and audio. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Isaiah. This is the Out of Spec podcast, and I will see you guys in the next one.